Hey everyone, it's Jessica Michaels here with another video for A Cherry on Top Crafts, and I am using lots of 49 and Market supplies today. So I've pulled out the Wherever collection and this beautiful background paper. It's kind of like this grungy orangish yellow color, and I've got this photo of all of my boys whenever we were on a hiking adventure. We had just came out of the woods and the sun was just shining so beautifully, and I just love this photo of all of them together. So I decided to cut my photo into a circle shape, so I've pulled out some of my stitched circle dies from my stash. I actually like to run my photos through my Big Shot machine about 4 times to make sure that they actually cut, because that film on those photo papers seem to not want to cut with dies very well, so I just run them through a couple extra times and it cuts just fine. I'm actually going to cut another circle here, a little bit bigger, out of another paper from this collection, that beautiful teal color, and matte behind my photo. I've now pulled out my pencil. I'm actually just drawing a line as my template along the bottom of where I tore that edge, and I'm going to do some stenciling. So I've pulled out one of my stencils by Honeybee Stamps, I believe it is, and I'm just pulling out some Distress Inks and Oxides in Rustic Wilderness and the Sage, Bundled Sage, I think it's called. It's very small on my screen whenever I do these editing videos, so it's hard for me to see it there, but I think it's called Bundled Sage if I remember right. So I am just using some blending brushes and alternating the leaf patterns and the colors here, and I just taped off the bottom of that so I didn't smudge any on the white part of my paper where I didn't want it to go. And I'm just kind of flipping this around using different patterns of leaves and in the different colors, just creating a nice little leafy background there along the border of where my paper is going to sit. I just thought that would be so cute to add that, since we had just come out of the woods. It's very ferny in those woods, if that's a word, ferny. There's lots of ferns and brush and things like that along that trail that we were on, so I was quite happy to get back out onto the main road, if you want to call it a main road. It's not really a main road, it's like a deserted type of road really, but that's where it dead ends at the end where we came out. So yeah, so I'm just adding some splatters here with some gold Kaiser Craft spritz, and also added some in one of the green colors there by just watering it down with my paintbrush. Gonna go ahead and put my paper where it needs to go. I realized at the end of this I didn't actually adhere that, so when I was all finished and done, I went to pick it up and put it in my book and realized that I didn't actually stick down that paper, so I had to do that after I took my photos. But I've pulled out some acrylics here from my stash. I'm just going to pop a couple of those on here. One says Outdoor Adventure, and then the other one's just a little geotag there. And I'm pulling out a stencil from my stash as well, because I really thought this needed some stitching on it. So I just pulled out this cute little sunburst stencil from my stash, and I'm going to use my little tool here that punches holes, and I'm just going to poke a bunch of holes in here and run my embroidery floss right through here. So I'm going to grab my needle here in a minute and some of that floss. I'm just going to use some black thread today and just thread this through all of those little holes just to create that nice little sunburst effect. Just love the way that that looks on there along with that circular photo, so I think it'll come out pretty cool. So here's my needle. I just use a blunt tip needle by, I think they were by So Crafts or So Easy or something like that. That's what I have the little foam board from as well that's underneath my paper right now. But I got that as a set a really long time ago. I can't even tell you where it was from. But that's the ones that I like to use because they have the blunt tip. They're not pointy, but if all you have is a pointed needle, you can use that as well. It doesn't really matter. So I am just threading this through. I actually messed up on the very first one on the right side, so I ended up pulling that out at the end. I think I cut that part out of the video, but I messed up the lines. I couldn't figure out where that one was supposed to go, and it didn't seem right at the time, so I just kind of left it, but I went over to the other side and started there because it just seemed like an easier starting point to figure out where I was supposed to go with the strings. I had a little bit already threaded through, so I just used that up, and then here I'm just rethreading it. I do like to use a needle threader, little helper tool that I just got from like Walmart, and I'm sure like Joann's and other places sell those too, but I just got that so that I could easily thread that through, because I have old eyes at this point in my life, and I know my eyes are terrible. I'm actually quite young. I'm not that old, but my eyes are just terrible. And I have to use that little needle threader now. So that's life. And I have just accepted it at this point. But I've got that all threaded through. That's how it looks when I'm all done. I've got my photo there matted and ready to go, and my little title acrylic piece. And then I came back another day. I actually had to go up and get my kids in bed. So this is the second day that I was working on it. And I came back to it, and I just kind of threw a whole bunch of embellishments on there and restarted this video, so you didn't have to watch me picking through all my embellishments that I had from my stash here. So I have some of these little cutouts, like that backpack and little hiking shoes are from the outdoor collection. So I threw a couple of those on there that I already had cut out. And that butterfly I was really trying to make work, but it just seemed too big for my layout, so I ended up ditching it at the end. And here I'm just writing my date on one of these little tabs by 49 and Market. That comes in one of the ephemera packs for the Wherever collection. And I just love those packs. They are jam-packed with so many things. And you can get so many layouts and creations out of them. It's not even funny. I think I'll have some of those left for the rest of my life, honestly. I've pulled out some of the wordy bits from those and some of the chipboard pieces from the other pack. And then I've got these little alphabet letters by Pink Fresh that I've pulled out. And I am just going to put Blackie Mo on the side here, because that's where we were. That was the location of what it's called, the state park. So I am just going to put those letters along that side just to give it a little something over there. And this is pretty much how it's going to go. I'm just going to add a little bit of thread and a glue dot sandwich, as I call it, behind my little circular element here. This is one of the chipboard pieces from the chipboard pack. And I'm just adding a little bit of thread twiddled around there with some glue dots. And I'm just going to stick that down on my layout, kind of on top of that backpack, but staggering it a little bit. Then I'm going to thread my little thread piece and here up through my little wordy bit to make it look like it's going up through there. I'm just adding some staples. Here's where I realized that I didn't actually adhere that down when I went to take my photos, so I just stuck it down real quick. So here's the finished layout. I hope you guys enjoyed this process today. It's a pretty simple and easy one to follow. If you wanted to scrap lift it, feel free. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for being here, and I'll link everything below. Bye-bye.